So I've called this video, is this the end or the beginning? Because I thought this would be a good time now to just reflect back, to reflect on the last few years, to take a step back, to try to condense where I think we are as a country through the lens of this weekend, this Jubilee weekend primarily, but just to talk a little bit more broadly as well. And I'm going to do a two-parter, probably called Reflections or something like that. So today I'm going to do the whole where's society at, and tomorrow's going to be about how things have affected me, and you know, looking back over the trials of and the traumas and the learning of the last 2 to 3 years. So stick with me. Hopefully this rain's not going to amount to much, because I can't be bothered editing videos and all the rest of it. I just like to shoot just a one-off and upload it, because I hate anything technical. So anyway, yeah, thought it'd be a good time this to the first point I'd like to make is it's quite amazing how hostilities in Ukraine and Russia have been suspended for the last 4 days, isn't it? Okay, how you know, the Ukrainians and Russians have, you know, put the fighting on hold, you know, to make room for the Queen Jubilee celebrations. I find that quite amazing. Now, of course, whatever's happening or not happening is unaffected by what's going on in this country. But I find it very telling how people's attention, again, the same people who were, you know, obsessed a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, about what was going on or not going on in Ukraine and Russia, have had their attention. Look over here, Queen, and they seem to be completely have forgotten about their previous concern for the current thing as was a few weeks ago. Now, who knows what the current thing will be tomorrow? Well, actually, we do know what it's going to be, what we're talking about. So once all this is over, the Jubilee celebrations, we will return to, you know, to the tried and trusted narratives of them at the moment, which is Ukraine and Russia and the economy. COVID is definitely over, in my opinion. So economic collapse, Ukraine and Russia, prices, inflation, blah, 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 and, you know, divisive rhetoric. So that's tomorrow. So that's the first point I want to make. Now, the second point, let's just talk about a quick opinion on where do I think the public is with regard to being aware of the bigger picture. Very positive, in my opinion. The awareness levels are good enough, are pretty high. And when I talk about awareness, I actually mean about having some level of knowledge about the dark and malign influence of non-governmental organisations who have orchestrated narratives and policies and events in the last few years, but also in terms of just opening minds, and in terms of recapturing sanity and recapturing morality. I think the awareness needed in order to end all this nonsense at the drop of a hat is there. Those who are still blinded by the dark forces of the brainwashing, there's no hope for them now. Well, I've been saying that for a long time, but there really isn't. Now, let's talk about this weekend in particular. My last video, which I did on the top of the North Pennines a couple of days ago, so have a little look at that if you've not. I was talking about what this weekend means to me, because for me it's very little, nothing really to do with, well, absolutely nothing to do with watching the TV and watching all the pomp and ceremony and the pageantry, and certainly nothing to do with watching a pop concert last night where, you know, political figures, celebrities, talking heads and people of malign influences are, on the back of a pop concert for the Queen, are spreading the establishment message about climate change, which I gather is what happened. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all. That doesn't surprise me at all. And again, clever, because what better way to infuse the nation's consciousness with an idea or an ideology or a subsection of the nation's consciousness, because not more and more people are immune to this propaganda now. But what better way to do it than to create a real, after years of division, poison, and this poisonous rhetoric, and the you know, the arguing and the fear, you know, let's have a 4-day weekend where we're going to create this feel-good time. You know, there's going to be parties, there's going to be unity, and then we'll deliver our poisonous propaganda when everyone's feeling great, because they're going to fall for it even more. So that doesn't surprise me. So for me, it wasn't about the what was going on at Buckingham Palace and the trooping the colour and all the rest of it. I've said before, I have, you know, some respect for the Queen. I've changed my opinion on her to a large degree, but, you know, some level of respect for the Queen. No time for the royals. But I'm a bit kind of like, I'm not that obsessed about it. I'm not a monarchist. I'm not a Republican. I sit somewhere in the middle, but I certainly see the why so many have said for so long that, you know, the subservience in this country to the royal family and the deference that is shown, and you start to ask, well, to what and to whom? Why are we doing that? So this Jubilee weekend for me was an opportunity for me, as someone who's interested in trying to find out all about the national psyche, trying to tap into the national psyche, trying to learn about people, trying to learn about my own country, my own society, its history, its culture, its people. A great opportunity for me to get some real good first-hand evidence about where I think we are as a country. Now, this is set against my pre-existing belief that out of all the countries in the world, to me, the one that ultimately did put up the most fierce resistance, hence why the lockdowns weren't as strict and the restrictions were rolled back quickest, along with one or two other countries, but literally only one or two, was England, right? So that was a position to come at it from first. I was, you know, more hopeful as, I guess, as a British citizen than I would be if I was a citizen of another country. So that's where I was coming at it from. So with that in mind, as I say, I was on holiday Monday, Tuesday, had to come back Wednesday, and then I was back for the Jubilee weekend. So we went to a few different towns. We went to, where did I go? I went to Kirby Stephen, Kirby Lonsdale, Barnard Castle, and a few other little villages in that part of the world. You know, the lakes up to County Durham, that area there. And I am very, very, very pleased to report that the spirit is there, the defiance is there, the traditions are being respected and built upon, and there is an air of, I can feel it, there's an air of a longing. It felt nostalgic, and now that's why I called this video, I'm going to call this video, is this the beginning or the end? Because for me, at the same time, it feels like an end and a beginning. Now, it's an end because, you know, without being fatalistic, you know, Queen Elizabeth II has not got long left, unfortunately. She is in the deep twilight of her years, and to me, when she dies, and it could be a lot sooner than later for obvious reasons, she's 96, to me that will be deeply symbolic of the final death knell for the West, as many of us once imagined it to be. A lot of us have reimagined it based on our reality and our experiential learning in the last couple of years, that those ideas that we had about our countries in the West were shown to be fallacy. And I feel that a real changing of many things when the Queen dies, it's going to be very, very deeply symbolic of an ending to an idea, to a way of life, to I guess a political and economic ideology, to maybe in some ways to a sense of what it is to be British. But it'll probably mean different things to different people, but it'll certainly be very, very symbolic. And then the question is, well, then what next? Because many other kind of like last vestiges of what I once thought to be a free and liberal West have already slipped by. Now, and we are at a crossroads. I've said that for the last couple of years, but you know, it's revolutions and counter-revolutions don't just happen like that. They happen a series of events over the course of a number of years. They're not just one event. We are still at that crossroads. But what is very, very uplifting to me is that just I don't like the phrase, ordinary men and women in this country, many of whom I've been highly critical of because of the utter dumb ignorance, naivety and cowardice that many of them showed initially, but finally enough of them woke up. But the respect that they have, and I'm only going to talk about the royal family and Queen here, but for their own country, the love that they have for their own country, the love that they have for British traditions such as family, friends and community, and culture and history, and love for the flag, and a real celebration and a real want and willingness to put up the Union flag. I mean, why the hell not? I think I mentioned it in my last video. Why do we seem to be the only country in the world that's ashamed to celebrate our Britishness and particularly our Englishness? Well, there is an answer for that, and that is that, despite the resolve of many ordinary men and women in this country, particularly in the north, we do have a deeply toxic and poisonous and savagely resentful element within that really, really is hell-bent on destroying everything that this country stands for, including its people and its children. But I saw in these towns Union Jack, Union flags adorning every pub, restaurant and shop, and very many of them as well outside people's houses. Also, when I came back to where I live, again, street parties taking place, and again, Union flag bunting, and even take that out if you want. Take that aspect of it. Okay, we're rallying around the Union flag, but a lot of people might think, well, now they're not very, they've changed their opinion on what the flag means, and that's fair enough. But let's return to this, because here's the central thing for me. What I've seen this weekend is this. I've seen families and friends genuinely enjoying themselves. I've seen singing and dancing. I've seen children playing together. I've seen face painting. I've seen afternoon teas. I've seen cups of tea, glasses of Pimm's with strawberries and raspberries in, and pints being drunk outside pub beer gardens. I've seen lots of local businesses that are thriving and opening their doors to locals and outsiders. And I've seen a spirit of togetherness and unity and happiness, almost. But I'm going to counter that, because, and this is what I wish enough people in this country realised, is that element that wants to destabilise and demoralise, and has destabilised and demoralised in a number of different ways, is insignificant. It only appears to be significant because a lot of people in this country, the stereotype is true, the politeness and the reservedness and just leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. It shouldn't have to be an event whereby the establishment that more and more and more of these ordinary men and women are starting to despise, give them permission to do all those things, to go in the street, you know, and have a cups of tea and a drink with the neighbours, you know, to have the bouncy castles and the face painting and the special Jubilee menus that were created for this weekend. It shouldn't have to be a case where permission is needed from on high, from these tyrants, autocrats, despicable, horrendous people. I wish, and I would like to think this is going to start happening more and more now, that I'd see more union flags that all year round, that I would see a spirit of togetherness, cooperation and community. And that these, frankly, a lot of them are idiots. A lot of them have meaningless lives. Only a few of them are genuinely, you know, have genuine influence in terms of, you know, the degradation that we've seen in society. But the rest of the people, and we'll probably all know them, who, you know, deride wanting to spend time with other people under a union flag, you know, because that's racist, that's xenophobic, you know, and we're such an intolerant country and all the rest of it. They're either idiots or they're just completely lacking in, they're unhappy. So they turn their unhappiness and criticise others. And can you imagine that, how tiny a mindset that must be, where you see families together, you know, having a picnic on a village green or outside a town hall, or you see people dancing together in the streets. You see children playing together. You see people toasting loved ones. Again, forget the Queen. If they're toasting the Queen, I don't have a problem with it at all. It doesn't matter. I think a lot of the people that I've been with this weekend and I've seen, I think, oh, and incidentally, when we came back from holiday, me and Sarah went to my local pub, and again, celebrations continued, the bunting everywhere, pub was packed inside and out, amazing music on, hot dog, burgers. I was thinking, this is what this country is all about. This is what this country is all about. How can anybody see that, even if they don't want to take part in it themselves, and say that that is wrong? That is what life is all about. And that's what I've seen. Yeah, I saw a few idiots still hanging Ukraine flags outside the houses, and that's their prerogative. If they want to do that instead of a union flag, all right, not a problem. It's your house, do what you like. Do what you like. I don't know what it is that you're trying to do, but that's fair enough. But I think the people are numerous in this country who want to recapture what I really think they sense now, that it's slipping away. Life as we knew it is slipping away, but also now is the time of maximum opportunity. So this weekend is both an ending and a beginning. It's an ending and a beginning, because it's just come at a focal point, a point in time whereby so many people have, I know it's a cliche, have woken up to what the world is really like. They see the evil. And now you're starting to see that pendulum swing back the other way. Is it going to happen quick enough? Can this momentum be maintained? Because those traditions and love for country are there, certainly in the north. Absolutely they are. As I say, even where I am, right on the edge of Liverpool, which is the, you know, the most anti-monarchy city, socialist city with some warped political ideologies and bizarre and absurd kind of like societal outlooks amongst many of its inhabitants. Even there, where I am, yeah, and that is really, really refreshing to see. So, and I guess the last point to say, in everyone that I've spoken to and interacted with in the last few days, well, not everyone, but most people, I've not seen people going around with like pictures of the Queen on and holding up pictures of the Queen and talking about the Queen and eulogising her, and many of them I'm sure are very fond of her, and that's great. But more importantly, it's not been about that. It's just been an opportunity for them to forget everything that's gone on in the last few years and remember how great this country really is, and that most people are all right. Most people do just want to leave you alone. They don't want to meddle in your affairs. They don't want to be telling you what to do every 5 minutes. You know, and they do appreciate and celebrate our culture and our customs, and a lot of them feel repressed in that they're not able to do that, except they are, and I just wish they'd remember that. And just in terms of the broader picture now, just to finish up on this, which has been said many times before, but it really is true, that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I don't even need to say what it is. Once you see it, once you wake up, that is it, bang, you've got a responsibility then. And once you've got that responsibility, you then also have earned the right, when these moments come along, to be optimistic and to be positive. Because I think a lot of the people who've been organising things, bringing local community together, you know, organising fun and games for the children, putting the flag up, opening their businesses, looking after the neighbours, I think they are the people primarily who are now awake, and they are in their millions. So there we go. So this is both a beginning, an end and a beginning. So let me know what you think of what I've said there. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell so that you'll receive a notification when I upload part 2 in the next day or so. All right, great to speak to you, and I'll be back soon. Bye bye.